from the KIII TV studios, this is Ask the Chief.
Everyone, good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us on this Sunday and for this special 3 News edition of Ask the Chief. I'm Kat Uriarte. We're very happy to have here Chief Mike Markle. Great to see you,
good
Chief.
To see you again. Thanks for inviting me. Yes.
Of course, anytime. And the Chief has been very kind to join us to ask to answer some questions. We're going to talk to the Chief about different things, like how the police department handles certain situations and their future plans. We'll also ask him some of your questions and take a look at the K-9 unit. Wait till you see this story. It's so wonderful. So we're going to get started. Chief, we're going to start with a couple of things. You know, there are a lot of things that have been making headlines about road rage. We want to just talk about road rage in general. There seems to be, especially on social media, you know, some people will complain about drivers cutting them off and road rage happening. Are you hearing this from drivers, and what do you do if you're caught in that type of situation?
Well, we do have those complaints occasionally, and my suggestion, my strong suggestion, if you're caught in that situation is stay calm. Create some distance between you and that other vehicle, exit the freeway or whatever roadway you're on at the time. But just stay out of it. Don't let yourself get worked up. Nobody needs to be somewhere that badly that they should be engaging in a confrontation with somebody else in a vehicle that they don't know about. You don't know if there's weapons. You don't know what could happen. It's a volatile situation. You just need to stay calm and remove yourself from that threat.
It's one of those things where, I mean, if you're trying to get somewhere, you're trying to pick up your kid, or you're trying to just, you know, get to work and you're a bit late. So a lot of emotions take over. But at what point do we call 911?
You should call 911 immediately if somebody is aggressive towards you and they're, you know, if they're closing in on your vehicle or if they're doing something that's overt that you feel puts you in danger. But your primary safety, you should think about yourself and removing yourself from that situation.
Sure. And going from that talk to distracted driving, I know that there have been a lot of changes and some ordinance, obviously an ordinance that was passed about, what, 2 years ago?
Probably three years ago at least,
already,
yes.
About not texting and driving. Are you seeing any changes? I mean, we still seem to get a lot of people out there.
There's a lot of folks still texting and driving, being distracted while they're driving. I'll tell you, it's a big wrestling match. You know, you're talking about changing a culture. I think public education is going to be the key factor to changing that. We certainly enforce it as much as we can. We've gotten enforcement grants to include distracted driving, where we're writing tickets through grant monies on overtime, so it's paid for.
Okay.
But it is prevalent. It's still being done too much.
Is that still a main offense? So if an officer sees you texting while you're driving, they can pull you over for that and ticket
They sure
you for
can.
that?
Yeah. They can pull you over, and we have an ordinance that prohibits that.
Geocaching program, what is that and how's that working?
That's something that was started by my PIO, the information office within the police department, and it's you know, we always want to tell our folks where we're running radar. We're not trying to play gotcha. We want folks to slow down and let them know where we're at. Well, our group within the PD has been geocaching, putting the latitude and longitude in there. It's created some stir. It's brought in some folks to come to our social media site, so they're better aware of what's going on, and it's actually been pretty successful.
Okay, that's certainly good to hear, because that's something that we don't want to see people out there texting. And you can be distracted by anything. You can be distracted by changing the radio, eating in the car.
Sure, and that's normal. Those are normal things, but just do those things that you're in control of. If you have to text, wait for the text. You know, don't sit there on the phone while you're traveling down the freeway.
All right, Chief. Let's talk about something else. Police arresting over 1,400 people for intoxicated driving last year. It was a record for the department. Why do you think there's been an increase? Well,
it's resource based, and those numbers that, you know, 1,400 is a large number, but it's a positive thing. It's because we've applied the resources to find those drunk drivers. Unfortunately, I think if I had the resources, we could increase that number more.
Catch even more.
It's an issue. It's something that we're going to stay on top of, and every year do better than we did the previous year.
So that people at home know what happens when you're arrested for a DWI. It's not very simple, right? It's not a very simple process.
It's not a simple process. You know, if you're arrested, you know, you do a breathalyzer test or a blood alcohol test. It's very costly in the court system. You can lose your license. It can really impact your life in a negative way.
And it can go on, it can stay on your record, or it could even take years. It
can take years, and it can prohibit you from certain jobs in the future. You
Sure.
know, like being a police officer. You can't be a police officer if you've been convicted of DWI.
Okay. You know, there are quite a few Texans who seem ready for the legalization of marijuana. This is a big topic that we have seen on our social media page. There are different cities and counties in Texas that have created kind of a relaxed attitude when it comes to possession of marijuana. What is it here in Corpus Christi?
It's still against the law, and if we find you in possession of marijuana, we'll still charge you as always. Now, the DA's office has some different programs for first-time offenders. It's really for them to speak about, but as far as law enforcement goes, it is against the law, and we will still do as we have done.
So it doesn't matter if you have a small amount or a large amount. Either way, you're still.
If you're in possession, it's still a violation of law.
Okay. Where does the department stand in the whole legalization movement?
The department stands that our position is always that we follow the law. We're not, we don't mire ourselves in the politics of things. We enforce the law as it's written, and that's what we're going to continue to do.
All right, Chief. Many kids are about to be out of school. You know, summer is right around the corner. It seems like crime increases right around the summer months. What do you want to say to parents out there, and especially teenagers who are watching?
Well, I ask parents to understand, know where your kids are. Be cognizant of their behavior. Make sure that you talk to them about being safe, driving safe. They're going to be out and about. We usually run some initiatives for traffic, minor in possession of alcohol initiatives, those things to mitigate any problems that our youth may get themselves into.
Are there any special plans to keep crime down during the summer months?
There's special plans every day to keep crime down. But yes, we'll have some enforcement action going on. Like I said, our traffic picks up going to the beach and leaving on the island and those kind of places. And we'll be adding resources to those areas where we can.
Why do you think crime increases during the summer?
Well, I think the crime trends change depending on the season. You know, at the end of the year, it's around the shopping areas. In the summer,
right,
your highways going to and from the beach, and those places that are popular for tourists and children. You know, and our young ones who are out of school. So it just redirects, and we need to be knowledgeable about that redirection and make sure the resources are going where they're supposed to go.
All right, and so in April, you know, the city activated, you know, the Emergency Operations Center when there was that accident involving the tanker near the Harbor Bridge. How vital is the Emergency Center in that type of situation?
Well, our EOC is very vital. It actually falls under the guise of Chief Rocha and the fire department. Of course, we're all intertwined as city departments work in there. And what it is, it's a resource shop. So when you have an active scene like that, they have a center to reach out for the resources they need and to supply the coordination for the event as a whole. It's a very, very important part of our ability to handle things like that.
It's interesting because we do this, I was pointing to the monitor because of the Emergency Center. It's operated also during hurricane season, right?
During hurricane season.
And even Buck Days?
Buck Days, special events. We want to open it up when there's any kind of chance that something could, you know, if we have a big event. I think the Buck Parade brought 120,000 people.
That's a lot.
So it's a lot of folks.
Yeah.
If you had some kind of incident, you would want to make sure the EOC was stood up very quickly and ready to handle the situation. So it is, you know, it's expandable. So they start there and get it ready to roll if need be.
All right, and Chief, Corpus Christi Police Department recently received 130 body cameras. I'm sure you're very happy with this. Are all our police officers equipped with body cameras?
Not all yet. We're growing the body camera as into the field, the officers in uniform out making calls. I think it's been successful. It helps officers record data that's needed on the call, and it's good for our citizens too.
And vice versa,
and vice versa.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah. All right, Police Chief Mike Markle joining us for this special 3 News Ask the Chief segment, and we're going to be back with more questions coming from you. A lot of you out on the street had some questions for the Chief, as well as many of you on Facebook. 3 News Ask the Chief continues right after this.
Stay with us as Ask the Chief continues right after this.